led her to become our youngest president among more than 80 YMCAs in the India in the last 145 years. She continues to regularly write on social issues and still continues to underline the gender perception in all her work. So I heartily welcome Upasana Bordoloi ma'am. Please continue with your presentation.
Thank you. That was a very kind presentation. Uh, Now, I would first of all would like to apologize for the delay. I am technically a little challenged, I must say. And since new platforms are coming up, Zoom, then we have got Google, of course, but I'm taking some time to catch up with it. This is what we call cultural lag in sociology, and it usually applies to a very senior generation. But I think finally I can accept that I'm aging. But now I think, first, I'm very thankful for everybody present here. It's a very beautiful weather, beautiful, I think, temperature going on. And we would have loved to, sleep late or maybe, do our own work. But all of you have taken out time and you're here to hear what I have got to say. So I'll try my best not to bore you. And at the same time, what I'm going to share with you, as you can, I think you might have had the brochure of the PPT of the presentations of all these days of the seminar, and I have decided to talk on social media and how it impacts our mental health. So without wasting any more time, I would like to start my presentation. Sorry, excuse me, you have to excuse me. I'll be coughing in between. I just recovered from COVID and my dry cough has not gone. But anyway, is my slide visible or it's only me and my face?
It's visible, ma'am.
My slides are visible? All right.
Yeah.
But I'm not able to see my slides. Is that normal? Is that okay? No. Okay. Okay. So can you see, for example, the next slide which I have in front of you, forward?
Forward screen is coming, ma'am.
Forward screen is coming. All right, thank you, great. So I'll just go back to the first slide, and I will try to ask you to focus on the title, social media and its impact on mental health. That should be what I should be talking about. And I have a small forward for you, or maybe you can call it content slide, or maybe an introduction slide of what we are going to expect through the next 1 hour. So first, I would like to introduce the topics, what we mean by social media, mental health, etc. Then we come to types of social media, and then we have consumption patterns of social media, divided by facts and figures along the age, rural, urban, lines, or maybe sex and gender lines, etc. And why do they consume what they consume, basically, and what are the results of this consumption? What are the positive and negative effects of consumption of social media at this particular consumption rate? Then we come to problematic social media use and its indicators. Many a times we might be on the pathway, on the trajectory of having a problematic social media usage, but we might not be aware that our usage pattern is now going to be problematic for us. So we need to discuss the indicators to check for ourselves whether we are on that trajectory. Next, we have some minimum and definitive stresses, and this is a very common talk. You may have heard it before, I'm not sure. But we are going to talk about what are the minimum sources of stress on like say on social media platforms or online. Next, we come to how social media is connected to rising levels of stress, violence, culture assimilation, etc. And then I have a sociological perspective, because like I was introduced, I'm trained in sociology, I teach sociology. So that is why I would like to present something from my discipline, because I'm sure all the speakers have come from their own different departments and different perspectives and schools of thought. So I would like to present something which is, I think, from my training and from my background, which is a sociological perspective. Next, of course, since this gathering is consisting of a lot of research scholars, people who are engaged in education, either they're teachers, they're tutors, they're imparters, or they're learners, students. So I think it is necessary to bring back the attention to how stress affects us, what could be the smaller, larger problems connected with social media and sometimes even beyond. And then, of course, what are the methods to address, issues of stress, mental health, etc. at the same time, the last three parts are like a personal narrative. Last two parts, second last two parts are like a personal narrative of how I tried to reach out and get mental health and what kind of experience did I have. All right. So I would like to,
Upasana,
yes,
Upasana,
yes.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting in the middle. Please,
Yeah.
can you enlarge your screen, like full screen? Can you make it? Yeah.
Okay, let me try to do that. One second. Is this coming? Is it okay?
Yeah, perfect. Perfect,
All
ma'am.
right. All right. Thank you for your patience and putting up with my challenges. But then we'll start. So first, like I said, I would like to go through the introduction. Whenever I am talking about any topic or reading a book or even taking a random class with my students, I would always repeatedly focus on the title. So if the title says social media and its impact on mental health, it is, I think, important for us to understand the title first. So what do we mean by social media? It's basically like you can read its websites, applications, that helps us, all the users, to share content, participate in social networking, primarily used with the intent of networking, building relationships, reaching out to people, discovering lost people, old family and friends. But then now it has become much more wider. We use it for business. We use it for projections. What can we expect in the future? In 2025, we are going to have how many Facebook users? By 2028, we are going to overtake China as the most populous country in the world. That kind of a thing. Projections to mobilize people, to mobilize other resources apart from people, and of course putting people knowingly or unknowingly in the line of surveillance. All right. And then of course the last one is affecting mind behavior, perceptions, actions and choices. So I'm taking for granted that maybe these words are something that you have understood, you are aware of. For example, I would not be explaining every single word, what is surveillance, what is perceptions. But then of course, if you feel that you have not understood, please, give me a razor, give me a kind of like a signal or a message. Now we had said social media and its impact in on mental health. So what do we mean by impact in this context? We're trying to talk about the strong effect that it has on us, social media has on us. But at the same time, I must say that in this age of globalization, it is very hard to say that what is affecting somewhere else is what is happening in somewhere else is not affecting me. Okay, so if Facebook has generated in US, or they have a headquarters running very efficiently or very rigorously in Menlo Park in California, it doesn't affect me. It's very hard to say that I'm not on social media, so I'm not affected. That would not actually be true or logical, because we accept it in this age of globalization. We are impacted even if the incident is happening somewhere else. So even if we are not very active on social media, maybe generation maybe like baby boomers, like maybe our grandparents' age, would feel sometimes that since they are not on Facebook, they're not affected. But that is not true. Ultimately, it does have an effect on us. But I'll not go into detail about how globalization works. But coming back to the last point, or the last definition that I have on my title, that we need to discuss the basics, we need to clear out, is what is mental health. So it includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, we feel, we act, and it helps us determine how to relate to others, handle stress, make choices. And yes, one very important thing is, even we all have mental health, all of us. So every human being. In fact, yesterday we had a very interesting seminar on mental health, and even the day before, there were many psychiatrists who were talking about mental health. I'm sure by now you have a very good idea about it. And there was a question, I think I got a feedback, I got a little insight about a person who was asking about mental health of even animals. And yes, that also exists as well. But if we just focus today on maybe the mental health of human beings, then of course, every human being does have mental health. So before I go up and I say that, let us discuss all this thing, I would just like to ask you a question. All right, I would like to know from you, why do you use basically social media? What are the reasons? You can type it in the maybe chat box, I'll read it. Or maybe you can even say, if you want, for example, you can even, how to put it? Sorry. I'm just putting it a little smaller, so it helps me to read the chat box for a few minutes. Okay, I'm getting a few responses for information, for interaction. Omkar Devade. Anything else that comes to your communication? Very good. To reach out to friends. Thank you for responding. This is really helpful to have a very interactive audience. Yes, to be connected with dear and nears, to get lots of information. Time passed very, very correct, very honest. Thank you. Response for knowledge, definitely to get engaged to people or to get engaged in work. It works always. It works either ways. But anyway, thank you for responding. Now, social media, like I said, it can be used for a variety of purposes. And I was just trying to see what are the reasons why, which apart from my personal reasons, why I kind of use social media. If I just see, then of course there are many reasons. And yes, in the times of COVID, I've noticed that helped me get many ideas, information, read books, get recipes. If anybody of you in the audience are friends with me online, you might have noticed I was doing a lot of cooking, finding new recipes, all right? So social media can help us find recipes, like I'm saying, for banana bread, or even, help you make a bomb in your kitchen. So I'm just trying to pull you across the range, across the whole rainbow of choices that we have for social media, from finding tutorial videos that will help you clear exams, to understanding concepts of physics, to making a bomb. And these are some snippets from from how to put newspapers, from, for example, timelines and Facebooks, where even recruiting people or child soldiers for ISIS for making bombs have also been done on social media. So the entire range of the use and function of social media is varied. And I must say that there are some certain things which maybe the makers of social media did not intend. Definitely, I'm sure they did not think that when I'm going to make, for example, create internet or establish a thing called Facebook, it will definitely not be used to make a bomb in the kitchen of your mom. So, but yes, we use social media for various reasons. I'll come to the specific slide later on. But what is the, common diet, or how should I put it? What do we feed on? What are the platforms, all right, for social media? These are the common ones. We use them for social networking, for microblogging, for photo sharing, for video sharing, etc. So we find that these are the common places or our diet from which we can choose. This is like a menu, like we go to a buffet, we select different things that we want to eat. We go to a supermarket, we select what are the different things we want to buy. So similarly on social media, there are different things that we consume, we choose to consume. So we find that this is our diet. And how do we consume this diet? This brings us to a consumption pattern. Now, I have got bits and parts collected from different research or journals or magazines, trying to put this entire consumption pattern in a graphic way. So I've got colors, I've got bars, I've got pie charts, I've got percentages, which is cutting across gender, urban, rural division. Then we have got an age distribution, and of course, app distribution as well. Who spends how much of time on what kind of social media? To maybe understand it better, because I'm sure the slide could be smaller or the percentages may not be very clear, I have now have it in this entire thing in a maybe, how do I put it, in a numeric form, in a quantitative form. So we have got so many million users. As you can see, Facebook has got more than, this is a little, I should say, an older data of last year, but by now, of course, the numbers have risen. And how much of activity goes on per minute on a social media? So many million messages are sent, so many people are scrolling Instagram, 4.5 million videos are being watched on YouTube. So this is the kind of consumption rate per minute. So till now we have consumed how much? I don't know what, 15-20 minutes of this workshop, and you can do the math and understand the scale of how do I put it, consumption rate or circulation of content on internet. Next, of course, how much time do we spend on an average? From per minute, in every day, there is an increase of 3-minute usage on a daily basis. And we also have an addition of 9% people, new people who are joining social media online. So 9% may seem like a small number, but when you put it down in numbers and count actual heads, it actually comes up to 228 or roughly 230 million per annum. And I think the recent contributors, like I've said in the last time, should be my grandparents, who have also joined Facebook by now. And I expect if I give maybe 2-3 years, they'll also be on Instagram and Snapchat. I'm talking about my grandparents. So actually, even that generation, whom we call, the boomers, are also picking up on the trend of social media. So I think this kind of like shows or explains the exponential rise of users consuming social media. So Iman Jak Manu has so many people are consuming social media. Why are they doing it? I asked you a few reasons. You gave me a few very legit ones. But then let us run through the ones which I have found out. Yes, we want to connect with people. We have a target audience, and for business purposes, it's very good because it's location friendly, it's cost friendly. It costs you very little amount of money to establish an internet connection and get connected with the world. It saves you a lot of time, or at least it's flexible time wise. Users feel involved, whatever is happening all across the world. Be it a bombing in Paris, we have all, colored our DPs in the colors of blue and white and red, right? Something happens in Syria, an act of violence happens, we all blacken our DP, no matter even if it is not happening with ourselves or happening in our immediate social circle. We do want to feel involved. There is a flood right now happening in Assam and in different parts of the world. We do contribute, right, through the help of social media. Then again, it helps us to raise voice. If not contribute economically, contribute through advocacy. Raise a voice against issues of injustice, inequality, exploitation, etc. We also use social media to discover, create, promote, and share content. That content can be educational, that content could be commodified in, it can be art, it can be ideas, experience, services, and of course memes. I know many people who go to social media only for memes, and my brother is one of them. But then apart from that, we use it to connect people, like some of you have said, discover lost family or friends. I remember I had lost touch with a friend of mine who moved to a different city, and we didn't have any touch for the last, I think, 12 or 15 years, and I discovered her on Facebook, and it was one of the highlights of my life. So I'm sure you might have moments like that, And apart from that, we also use the social media to express social status and highlight our personal achievements. So, these are some of the reasons why we go to social, or we are hungry for social. By social, I mean social media. But then, excuse me, there are some other psychological or physiological explanations about why we crave social media, which brings me to my next slide. That is the release of two particular hormones. That is dopamine, or some call it dopamine. And then we have oxytocin. These two hormones, kind of like, in short, in layman language, help us to feel good. And sometimes if we post a very good DP and get very good likes, the hormonal release can be as high as 13% than the normal hormonal release, which is equal to, being as happy as, you could be possibly on your wedding day. So can we imagine how much, we are dependent biologically also to get a high, to feel happy, by being on social media. In fact, researchers are saying, Solon in 2017 has done a research which says that the like button was actually strategically introduced to give us a rush, a hormonal rush, or a little dopamine hit. That means basically when we see the number of likes go up under our post or photos, actually, it makes us feel good. That is your mind. That is your biology, basically your body reacting to something like social media. So of course, it goes without saying that it's a great stimuli for human beings. And ultimately, this kind of a high that we get, our hormones ultimately are so dependent on, reaction, on stimuli, which is generated by social media, that it's actually very hard to resist, to the point that studies have proven that it is more addictive than alcohol and cigarettes. So in short, this is the science, the chemical locha behind what happens, our mind, our brains, our bodies, and how social media is connected. There are, of course, deeper studies, but I'm not a trained psychologist or a psychiatrist to go into that and explain to you how chemicals work inside our bodies and mind. But yes, dopamine and oxytocin is something that you will repeatedly get when you try to understand the concept of social media and why we are on it, or, our causes for wanting it, for being addicted to it, for using it. But yes, why do we feel good? Let us see some other reasons. this brings me closer to my subject, that is sociology. Apart from the release of happy hormones, all right, don't quote it anywhere, I think, because especially don't write it, because this is something I just came up with 2 days ago. Release of happy hormones, that is your dopamine and oxytocin. What are the other reasons which makes us feel so good when we are on the internet? We have realized through studies and research that human beings, when they interact in a normal setting, in a regular face-to-face interaction, we spend 30 to 40% of our communication time talking about ourselves. But that rises to 80% when we are online. Why? Because we get enough time to filter, to edit, to delete, to, kind of like alter our images, our thoughts, our messages, to present ourselves the way we want others to see us. So that is why we end up, if you see your own feed, you will notice a lot of it is about ourselves. A lot of users will spend a lot of time talking about ourselves, and being narcissistic this way online, talking or totally being focused on their own selves. This is one reason why, we feel good, because at the end of posting, a selfie or putting a message, we don't just leave it there. We go back and we check the reactions of people who have reacted, how many have commented, has my professor liked it or not, has my senior said a comment. All of this, it makes us feel good. It makes us feel that we belong to a society. These are some of the primal needs. The feeling of belonging to a society is one of the primal needs, of human beings. So that is why when that need is being met, oxytocin is released in our brain and we feel happy, we feel rewarded. That yes, I have posted a selfie which is socially very popular now. I've posted a message which is very socially acceptable now. I'm on my socially best acceptable behavior. So ultimately what happens is we are feeling rewarded when we get this kind of validation and appreciation after we post something, and then we continue, we get addicted to this kind of a behavior. Now we come to marketing. Marketers also, if you, sorry, excuse me, if you go through the advertisements, the language, the, lyrics of songs, of jingles, of copyrights, you will understand they are not just selling a product. They are kind of like selling things, all right, to kind of tell us another message that you need to buy this in order to have some kind of self-worth, some kind of value. So what happens is when they're selling us different things, they will tell us buy this deodorant, an Axe deodorant, so that if you use an Axe deodorant, it spray all over yourself in this particular pattern and this particular fragrance, girls will fall on top of you from balconies. And if you actually watch advertisements in details, you will see that is happening. You put on this particular cream and you will be compared, then you will get jobs, and then you will get, I don't know, rishtas for shadis and different kinds of things. That's what they're selling. That means your self-worth or self-value is nothing until and unless you buy their product. So this is something to, think about. And of course, there are other sets of studies which have tried to connect your behavior, your ideas, your perceptions, and how they're linked to the market, and which is basically how marketization happens, how commodification happens, how basically the market influences us. So if we kind of like analyze in your own life, what are the things that you use a lot, you want to go back to a lot? What are certain kind of brands that you, or companies and services which really makes you feel very happy? It can be something like Swiggy, all right, it can be something like a particular brand like maybe Nike or Reebok, all right, or Marks and Spencer, or whatever it is, or a silk trademark, women, if they buy silk sarees, that very trademark, that very logo works on us. How? Let us see. So there's a research which is actually comparing the physiological arousal of us, and by comparing it with showing us different photos. Photos, one set of photos consisted of brands that we consume on a regular basis, which we love, those brands which we kind of patronize, we adore, we are addicted to, all right, we don't compromise with, for example. And then photos of the people whom we are close to, whom we love, who are our dear ones, and they notice the hormonal spike was almost equal. So logos of things, all right, of inanimate objects can give us the same kind of pleasure, the same kind of how do I put it, a hormonal spike as the pictures or faces of our loved ones. So this is something that is really something to sit back and ponder about how dependent we are on products and how they are actually an extension of who we are. This is something that, takes me back to the words of Max Weber, sociologist, who has talked about, who has introduced the concept of status symbol. I mean, बहुत easily we use, very casually we use, no? We say that so and so has brought it. Why did they have to buy this particular thing? Oisai nai loan son loi pele iman dangor gari khon loise, thik ase, dhar dhur kori pele, installment pay kori pele, they have bought an iPhone, 1.5 lakh taka phone loise, but I know that person's salary is maybe 25-30,000. We come up with these kind of statements sometimes. It may be prejudiced or judgmental, but we do come up, right? I'm sure we have done it, because I have done it unconsciously, knowingly also, so many times. But we find that the word status symbol, which was introduced in sociology, which we use it very casually now, is connected to our patterns of consumption. We consume, but we just don't finish consuming. We would like to know the rest of the society. We would like the rest of the society to understand, know, accept the fact that we have consumed this and this commodity and service. All right, we try to, there is a link between what we consume and who we are. So in that way, some things that we consume, or in fact, many things that we consume, are actually status symbols of our class, our position in the society, our status in the society. If anybody thinks they are not that way, I think we should do a research in India about the cars and the mobile phone. If nothing else, you will notice, at least when we compare about the possession of what kind of cars, what type of cars, all right, with what kind of resources they could purchase it, and what kind of mobile phones Indians use. I think this, what Max Weber or what sociology is trying to say, the things we consume are associated with a social status. We will find truth in that particular statement. Moving on to, however, this was a part about how social media makes us feel good, all right? And then we have got, of course, negative impacts of social media. I'm sure, I think you are by now aware of the negative impacts. We have very good sessions with many trained psychologists and psychiatrists talking about us, but still I'll give you a short revision for anybody who has joined late, who's new today. So, number one is, of course, addiction to social media. We have a problem of invasion of privacy. We have our work and play times disrupted, all right? That means we are not productive at work. And when we say play, we usually mean, our free and personal time, where we would actually go out and do a physical activity, go and meet people. We go and we used to visit neighbors. This is how I grew up with my family. In the evening, if you're free, my mother would take me out for a walk and we would go on our social visits. But our work, our play is being disrupted. Any free time that we have, we always invest in social media. Most of us, not all of us maybe, but many of us, we are doing that. Social media has also created a rise in sexual crimes. It has also increased the circulation and the frequency of the circulation of fake news, of rumors. It has increased cyberbullying, that is bullying using digital technology. It has caused a lot of instances of theft, which can be economic theft, all right? Maybe, phishing, or, using credit cards of somebody else, etc., etc. That kind of economic theft. It can also be a personal theft. That means identity theft, all right? It can also be an intellectual theft. That means people are stealing ideas of internet, right? And causing the rise of plagiarism. And another, how do I put it, research which has come up has said that the rise of, there is a certain, upward rise of plagiarism. And this has come post the usage of internet, post the usage of social media, and many scholars today are accused of plagiarism than they were accused before. So, scholars of maybe 1970s and 60s did not have that many charges of plagiarism against them, as we find scholars are being accused at the rate today. Next, we have, what are the other negative impacts of social media? Manipulation of our behavior, perceptions, actions, and attitudes. There are some two technical definitions of psychology, that is groupthink and confirmation bias. To put it in very simple words, you may feel that maybe the earth is flat. All right, you may feel that the earth is flat, it's not round. You may believe in a flat earth theory, that flat earth, controversy. And if you think, you will definitely go out searching for those kind of, articles, controversial theories, or maybe who bombed 9/11? Was it George Bush, or was it actually Al-Qaeda? Who was it basically? All these different sorts of controversy theories. And you'll end up, finding, looking, researching for these. And the internet, in a way, makes you meet, all right? makes you meet like-minded people. So you're trying to confirm a truth, but you already have a bias in your mind because you've already considered the fact that the earth is flat. All right. And now when you're researching those articles, consuming those articles or photos or pictures or videos online, the internet also makes you meet like-minded people. So this is basically groupthink. All right. You end up meeting people who think just like you. You all could be thinking wrong or you could be thinking right. But ultimately, when you get more and more articles, people online with the same kind of bias as you have, then you might end up thinking that this is the truth. And this particular, phenomena has given rise to a lot of violence in the last decade. So even the case of Rohingya Muslims, how they have been attacked, all right, how the entire pogrom or genocide happened in Rohingya has actually been attributed to online activity, circulation of hate messages, hate speeches, civil wars which are going on in different parts of the world, in Serbia, in Bosnia, in South Sudan, even here in Delhi riots. Much of it has been actually a contribution of social media. So this is what is coming out now in research. So this is something to be seriously taken into consideration. And I think some of you have already seen, how the founders of Facebook, makers of Facebook, have actually been called, and they're being questioned by politicians, senators in US, where Mark Zuckerberg had to answer questions about how Facebook has been used to manipulate data, to help politicians, to help countries, about how explain how Russia used Facebook, manipulated Facebook to manipulate the entire elections going on in America. So this is something to again think about. Moving on, the next point is social media negatively affects culture in a way. It can lead to culture erosion, erosion of traditions and indigenous roots and tendencies. I will talk about soft power and how maybe this kind of like affects in a later slide. Then again, we have non-consensual and accidental exposure to offensive, graphic, violent images and messages. Many times, even I got, I'm sure you might have also got throughout your lifetime, some of you, messages on, WhatsApp saying so-and-so accident hoise Beltolat, Anuradha Cinema Hall or Bahirot, Amukot. And then also we get pictures of that accident, very violent graphic images. And for a person like me, I was very affected. I could not sleep at night. I was getting those images throughout my sleep for 2-3 days. If I can be affected, a person who I think I'm mature or old enough to critically deal with social media, imagine the impact it will have on younger or impressionable minds, like children. So that is why, we have a lot of accidental or non-consensual exposure to these kind of, images and messages. And then everything considered, we have an increase in mental health disorders, which can be stress, feeling more lonely, isolated, depressed, having anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, low confidence, definitely sleep and eating disorders, suicides, and suicidal tendencies. We also become insecure about our bodies, our image of self. We are insecure about the resources that we have in hand. Social media makes us insecure about our beliefs, our traditions, our relationships, and our efforts. So in a way, we can kind of feel, I think some of you might have experienced, some of it, these kind of negative impacts of social media in our lives. If anybody is still not convinced, let us do a small activity. I think half of you may have fallen asleep. So for the limited listeners here, I have a small activity for you. I want all of you, if possible, close your eyes. Take a say. I need you not to switch off your video, but I want you to close your eyes. All right. But if you're still not okay, if you still want to see my slide, it's fine. But we will go through it one by one. I will ask you a bunch of questions, and please, in your mind, think whether the answer is yes or no. All right. So we'll close our eyes, if possible. Try. I'm not saying you to switch off your video, but I need you to think about it. Even if you're opening your eyes, I know there will be deviants here as well. But then I want you to at least think the question. If you're checking out my slide, please read the question and see if the answers are positive or negative, yes or no. All right. So first question, do you spend more and more time online? Yes or no? Think it in your mind. Next question, do you spend your free time, your personal time, your family time on social media online? Third question, does social media affect every activity you do? Next question. Do you take photos or decisions based on social media? Next question. Do you take photos of you doing altruistic, philanthropic work, social work? Do you have difficulty with face-to-face communication? Yes or no? Do you prefer rather talking online or through messages? Yes or no? Do you check social media multiple times a day? Yes or no? Do you lose track of time while being on social media? Yes or no? Do you experience that your phone has vibrated, or there is a, how do I put it? Basically, the phantom vibration syndrome. That is, your phone has not vibrated, there is no notification, but you feel that it has vibrated, or there is a notification, you've heard it, imaginary ones. You experience imaginary vibration or notifications. Yes or no? Do you check the social media the first thing after you wake up and before you go to sleep? Yes or no? Do you check in at every location? Yes or no? Do you monitor likes on your social feed? Yes or no? Do you react whenever there is a notification on your sound or notification sound on your phone or device? Every time when there is a notification on your phone, do you react? Yes or no? So the answers are for you to think about, to retrospect. If maximum answers are yes, then yes, we may say that there is an issue or a situation of problematic social media use. That means there is a growing dependency of you on social media. If maximum of these answers have been yes, it is time for you to sit back and think and monitor how much time you spend on social media. What do you do? How does your body react, your mind react? Do you have anxiety attacks if you get less number of likes? All right. Do you get stressed out if your friend puts up, for example, a DP, a photo where you are also featured, but you don't feature very positively? Do you actually have small levels of stress whenever you send something personal to your friend, worrying that it might be screenshotted and circulated? Are you worried 2-3 times when you share something in a cousins group? I'm sure you all have a family group, and we really calculate our decisions sometimes, you know, depending on a relationship with all our cousins and family members about how to react in that group. All right. Do you get, for example, stressed out if, for example, you're not able to add a friend, comment a friend? All right. Or maybe, you know, your senior or professor has shared something, your teacher has shared something, and you're not able to find or articulate the words to comment something below, or like, or have the time, or those kind of a thing. So we find that there are so many things that we actually do unconsciously, consciously throughout the day, which affects our mental health. All right. So we have 4 definitive sources of stress online. We have got highlight reel, social currency, fear of missing out, and online harassment. You may have got this before, because these are very common indicators or discussion points whenever we talk about social media and mental health. Number 1, the highlight reel. For anybody who has not heard it before, who has come in late, who has joined today, let me explain what is highlight reel for you. We always try to highlight our successes. Nobody is posting those kind of pictures, you know, during Corona lockdown, ke main jharu maar rahi hu, pocha maar rahi hu. Nahin, we are posting the best pictures that even despite COVID, I'm having the time of my life. I am cooking exotic dishes. ठीक है, मैं घर में ये craft कर रही हूँ. But at the same time, social media has also Corona lockdown has also given us the idea that the, you know, rate of domestic violence, ठीक है, personal conflicts, family conflicts have risen. Uska to photo koi nahi dalta. Nobody puts up pictures of those. We are all very conscious about what we put up. And even if we don't put up, if we go on social media, we will see what others have put up, and wo bhi waise behave karte. They will also put up the best of their life on their reel. So what happens is, often we are left with that situation where we are comparing their successes with our daily average life or our failures. That causes definitely stress in our lives. Next is social currency. That means we are actually not out there scrolling through goods and commodities and services necessary online, but we actually, the time, attention that we give on social media makes us a product. All right. The stress of how to manage our social circle, be with them, behave and reply appropriately creates definitely a kind of stress. If somebody has followed us, somebody has not followed us, everything contributes to stress. All right. Also, we have a tendency to follow some certain brands, follow some certain celebrities. These celebrities will consistently in their ads be telling us how we are inadequate. As long as we don't buy that Reebok ka juta, theek ase, or we don't buy this particular car. We are not man enough if we don't use this particular shaving kit. We are not, you know, feminine enough or worthy enough if we don't do this particular work, if we don't buy this particular good or services. So all these kind of things kind of like raise stresses for us. There is also FOMO, the fear of missing out, where we definitely feel anxious, stressed out if we think that, you know, and even an opportunity or relationship could have been possible if only I were online. There are researchers in UK, Britain, Canada, US, etc., where they have conducted or asked questions among teenagers. 70% of teenagers have come up and said they would have left social media if they did not have this fear and anxiety that, you know, how will they blend in with other people in their classrooms? What will happen to their relationships? Will people now not accept them? So the fear of missing out on relationships, you know, opportunities, events, etc., forces us to be on social. Next is, of course, online harassment. And if we are women, we are, for example, in the LGBTQ brigade, we are lesbian, you are gay, for example, you are a transgender, or you're a minority. It can be religious minorities, it can be any kind of demographic minorities. You definitely are, you know, at the receiving end of online harassment greater than anybody else. So, excuse me, but these are definitely the common point of stressors online. Now, when we talk about all this, when we talk about social media, it is not just filled with information, it is filled with different kinds of things, it is filled with art, it is filled with different kind of content. And then one thing which is very, very powerful in India, which is right now the burning issues or, you know, topic in India right now, is the influence of Bollywood, and Bollywood as a soft power. Power can be of different types. There is military power, you know, US has a lot of guns and missiles and, you know, army, etc. China is building up an army. I just read an article 3 days back saying China has doubled the number of, you know, their, how do I put it, military bases all around India in the last 3 years, doubled in 3 years. So the point is, you know, that is military might, and we are trying our best to catch up. India is trying its best to catch up and develop, you know, its military technology. That is one kind of power. Then you have got different kinds of power. There is, for example, apart from physical and military power, I want you to focus on one particular source of power which has the, you know, the strength to manipulate us, to regulate us, and that is soft power. What is soft power? You can imagine, for instance, here in this context would be Bollywood. Social media, all right, where we see a lot of Bollywood, where we see a lot of movies and how they influence us. When they are on social media together, you know, medias like movies, media, mass media, medias like, for example, social media, they lead to cultural assimilation. It is a process where we find that smaller groups, ethnic groups are actually absorbed into the dominant culture of the society. So in India, maximum movies, maximum of the media is concentrated mostly on, I think, North Indian culture, the North Indian way of life, North Indian weddings. If we have a, you know, shadi scene or shadi based movie, you will find most of the things that they do, mehendi, sangeet, roka, this, that, is very much North Indian. We find very little diversity in, you know, some things like Bollywood, which we consider as a soft power. It has a lot of power to influence our lives. So, you know, this leads to a lot of cultural assimilation, leads to a lot of conflicts and stress, all right? And there is an increase of Bollywoodization. What do I mean by whatever I'm trying to say here is things like, you know, Bollywood, which is an example of soft power, has the capacity to change our culture, traditions, our consumption patterns, all right, and change our ethnic ways of life. So even here in Assam, this was my topic in research for MPhil and PhD, about how Bollywood is entering, you know, ethnic groups, you know, tribal groups, Boros, Nising, Deoris, Nagas. You will find the percolation, penetration of Bollywood. It has the power. It is called soft power. It does not have missiles, it does not have guns, but it has the power to influence us and change our tradition, cultures, which have been going on for the last, I don't know how many centuries, since you can say time immemorial. Today, go to any wedding. If you feel you want to disagree with me, go to any random wedding. Many times you find that there is a lot of change in the bridal trousseau or the, you know, the bridal attire. Lorabure Bodbar, they wear shirts, They wear, for example, suits, sherwanis. All right, I'm not saying don't wear it. I'm not here to judge. Do whatever you want, wear whatever you want. But I'm just saying that we can see a trend. Are we on the same page? We are not judging if you want to wear whatever you want. It is a free world, all right? And of course, we believe in individualism. We believe in freedom and individual agency, personal agency to make choices. So wear whatever you want, wear maybe pajamas and go and do a court registration for marriage. But if I see the larger trend, if we come to a more serious point, this has led to, introduction of concepts which were not local, which were not ethnic, concepts like dowry. The dowry rates, crime rates against women, all right, have risen. The average cost of a wedding has risen in communities, in traditional communities, all right. Concepts of maybe, multi-day celebrations have also been introduced. Foreign concepts, North Indian concepts have entered our culture. I'm not even saying it is bad. I'm just saying there is a change. We from sociology, we try to be value neutral. We don't usually try to say this is bad or this is good, all right? Because if we go to study out anything in the society, the moment I say this is bad and good, that means I've already developed a bias. If I have a bias, how will I be able to study you objectively, right? So we try to be as objective as possible. So objectively, I'm trying to say that there are changes going on, and this was my research topic in MPhil PhD program. So I wanted to see how Bollywood as a soft culture or social media was affecting our local traditions, customs, etc. And of course, social media, when it does culture assimilation, it also, apart from culture assimilation, it also leads to increase in stress, in violence, that is understood. There is a rise in materialistic culture, in objectification, commodification, marketization, rise in crime and violence, etc. Moving on to something more sociological. Bear with me a few more minutes, I'll be done fast. But then these are two theories. I have two guys with me from sociology. I have brought them from home to you. This is C.H. Cooley. He's a guy who gave us the theory of looking glass self. In short, basically, he says, we look at ourselves not the way, a mirror projects us unbiasedly, objectively, directly. But he says that we look at ourselves, all right, the way society look at us. We assess ourselves through the viewpoint of the society. So this is called the looking glass self, and this is what we do regularly whenever we are on social media. We think that we are not good enough. We are not thin enough. We are not fat enough. We are not fair enough, all right? So, we keep on using filters, not only in photos. I discovered this in my research a few months back, that you don't just have filters for photos. I am so technically challenged. I thought, I'm so, how do I put it, ancient regarding technology. I thought filters is what we use to our photos, make ourselves fair, or make ourselves maybe skinny, maybe, change the shape of our eyebrows, nose, etc. But you can do that on videos as well. That means in real time, the way I'm talking with you, I might actually have a very different look. But therefore, because of apps like TikTok, or Instagram statuses, videos, now celebrities or people, regular people, would like the way they look, their bodies, their skin tone to be, altered in real time, while they're going on live. Why? Because we think that if we are fair, maybe, I will be able to make, or if you're thinner or skinnier, or you're all more muscular. There are different apps for boys and girls. It depends on gender, and that is another debate. But then these kind of things kind of increase stress in our lives. If we constantly are comparing ourselves with these unrealistic views of other people's, it helps us to develop stress in our lives, and kind of like shapes unhealthy views of ourselves, about bodies, about images, etc. So in sociology, we have a very confirmed idea or belief that there is a link between social and individual. There are many times that sometimes we think, we say very casually that, yeah, this is my decision, ito more ichha, more mon, more morzi, I will do whatever I like. But even in that, we find that our decisions are influenced by the society, So this is what C. Wright Mills, another sociologist, has said, that there is a link between the, individual and the society, between the personal and the public, and the job of a sociologist is to unravel this link. Many times we don't realize it. All right. Small example I'll give you. Personal example. I had very long hair till kamar tak. I had pokalorak ekdam lamba suli asle, and I chopped it off, and it was shorter than this. And in my house, forget the society. Okay? In my house, there was a huge halla. Why did you chop? Especially my grandparents, my grandfather, especially Koka, he almost had a mini heart attack. That suli kati dile swali manu itia ki hobo biya ki koriba kupai banibo nwariba manue ki kobo. Cutting your hair, lora karone ulta hobo pare. For boys, it may be the reverse. Growing longer hair, they may get these kind of questions or queries. There's lora manu hoy iman lamba swali joa tikoni etai mara kupai etai bandha rubber band loi loa. These kind of comments is what maybe boys will get, maybe the reverse, So it's not equal for boys and girls, I must say. But yes, cutting your hair or not cutting your hair can be actually a political affair. It can be a very big thing. Girls with short hairs in many places, they're viewed as, troublemakers, lesbians, feminists, as if that is supposed to be a bad word, along with lesbians. These kind of perceptions is what we have to battle daily. Or maybe both mufat hoy, dondori hoy, kaja lagibo, a source of trouble, just because why we decided to have short hair. So these kind of personal decisions, we may think I will go to a beauty parlor, I will select between the in Instagram maybe or Pinterest what haircut I want, I will show it to the barber, they will cut it. But it is not that way. We have to understand and accept the very decision for us to, whatever we do is linked with the society. That is why we find there are many boys who will mori jabo, but they will not wear pink. They will, for example, be disturbed, but they will not wear orange. Why? Because they think pink is not a color for boys. So our small decisions that we take in everyday lives is actually linked to the society. If we think, give it more time to think about it, we will understand the link, or we will discover the imaginary link between individual and society, and we will be successfully able to establish the sociological imagination. There is another guy, very interesting guy, very significant guy, one of the, how do I put it, in founding fathers of sociology, we may say. He's Imam Durkheim, and he did a very good, how do I put it, research on suicide, comparative studies between different, countries, and he came up with the very fact that suicide, a person has committed suicide because of some personal problems. Pagol asile, basic home, control no on, all right, these are kind of comments that we usually get. Why did so-and-so commit suicide? We will get a range of queries, a range of responses, all right. But of course, he has come up with the study, which we accept today, that even your most personal and intimate decision is linked with the society. We have theories of suicide. I don't want to go through it as well. There is a link, I don't know if you can see it in blue, where I have tried to write and research and write about, the suicide rates of youth in India. It's very high, very disturbing. So that is why, while I'm addressing a group of scholars and youth, I would just like you to read this small, how do I put it, slide. October 10th is World Mental Health Day. We all know we are about to encounter it in a matter of 3 weeks now. Sorry, less than 3 weeks, maybe less than 2 weeks itself. And last year, the theme was suicide prevention. India has the highest suicide rate in the world, and the age group is the student group, who are also the biggest consumers of social, how do I put it, media, or they are online a lot. And there are many reasons which contributes to this high suicide rate or high stress rate in youth. It can be social media. It is social media. Also, it is other things like privatization of education, the hike in fees, arbitrary hike in fees, withdrawal of scholarships, not having a counselor in the universities. We don't have the policy, unlike UK and US, where all educational institutions must have, a counselor. So we don't have that kind of a mandatory rule, and that is why it is problematic. And this is an excerpt I want you to read. I'll be going on very fast. If I'm a little slow, you let me know. But this is an excerpt which one of my students, she is doing her psychology masters in TISBAM. This is in Chennai, all right? And the logo in TISBAM says leadership in mental health. But the irony is, mental health pe research kar rahe, theek hai, leadership in mental health khud ko bol rahe, unhi ke campus mein they don't have a counselor for the students. So according to her, she says higher education is a very lonely journey because suicide rates of youth, of students is very, very high actually in the senior category, in the higher education category. MPhil, PhD, master students, we see a lot of people, students committing suicides are actually of those who are not those who don't have education. but those who are actually pursuing higher education. So in classrooms, till masters, you do have classmates. किसी के साथ बात करने के लिए भी कोई ना कोई तो है. You have somebody. कुनबा तो आसे कथा पाती बोले कारण. But in MPhil, PhD, you are on your own with your guide. So, it's very important for us to understand as educators, as teachers, as students, what is the system around us and what can we do. So what are the different, ways by which we can tackle issues of mental health? There is professional health, a list I will give at the end. There is also non-professional health, which is talking, with family, friends, peers, health groups, or, religious institutions are also there who give help. But then what can you do basically? If you cannot go out and get professional help, family, friends, what can we do to create or raise social media wellness? Recognize the problem. I give you a bunch of questions. If you said yes to maximum number of questions, think about it seriously. Recognize if you have a problem. Audit. See your social media diet. Are you regularly on social media? Try to detox as well. There are studies which are saying if you come off social online, if you take breaks, it can actually lead to your wellness. All right. Next, you should try to model good behavior. Right? Don't bully others. But many people, we do that online very casually. Right? We pass on a nasty comment. We compromise on confidentiality. All right. And pass on screenshots to other people. These are ways of not having good model behavior, but we will try to do the opposite. Precautionary usage. Try to be careful how much time you're using. Have a track of time. There should be healthy balance where screen time should not supersede. Maximum screen time, minimum real time, and try to check how much of sleep, exercise, and face-to-face interaction are you having. All right. So is social media bad? Last urgent question now. It doesn't have to be. Provided you have preventative and coping strategies, social media is not bad. Social media is not the villain. Just like guns are not the villain. Guns don't go and shoot people. Why not? If you have a Samsung TV and they're showing you, for example, anything, it can be violent, it can be some film on violence, it can be item song, whatever. You don't blame the TV, right? So social media is a tool as well. It is a tool for us to use. Tool is not bad. The way we use it is something to be critical of. Take help. There are many psychiatrists who will tell you, go take help. Talk about it. If you have stress, anxiety, whatever, talk about it. But there are some universal and systemic problems. Number one is stigma. I'm sure you are aware of what is stigma, basically. All right. The way we stigmatize, devalue, demonize, all right, other people for having mental problems. Pagal hoy, all right, crazy, all right, eccentric. All these kind of words that we do. People going to, for example, taking mental health, they face stigma a lot. Suppose you go to a psychiatrist. These are common, responses I get from my students and with those whom I work. If I go and take, for example, psychiatric help, what will they say? You may be questioned if you're in a leadership position that our boss is taking psychiatric help. They may not be mentally balanced. These kind of questions, they come during your professional, social evaluation. It may affect your relationships, your performance in the work. So these kind of things are also to be taken into consideration, that we are not sources of stigma. We don't create stigma. Labeling. Many people, we end up these particular social disorders or situations, we use it in a derogatory manner or as a slang. Pagal is like a gali. Crazy is like a gali. So this is something that we need to think about, all these labels and the slang, what is regular, what is normal, all right, we have converted into gali. So this is something that we should refrain from. There is a lack of information, awareness, and sensitization. These are universal problems. Three are different things. But there is a lack of all three sometimes. Information, gom na pa code call koribo lage, code jabo lage. Ase system too, but we are not aware. But awareness one eye. And last is sensitization. Ami janu code ase code jabo lage to get mental health. All right, we are aware, but we are not able to go there because of things like stigma, things like unprofessional behavior. So sensitization is also very important. And yes, mental disorders. Both time, we treat it the way we treat, disabled people, differently able people. All right, you have problems, mentally, you're not healthy. We say that you can do it, you can handle it on your own. Be strong. Desi natakoriasa, drama queen, diva. All right, weak. These are the things as if it is on the individual, to treat their own themselves to treat their mental health on their own. This is not how we react to a person with cancer or person with an abnormal level of insulin. Our insulin both high, pancreas abnormal levels of insulin will create choreography. আমি তো হেমান মানুষজনক কেতিয়াও গৈ পেলাই নকওঁ that তুমি অকণ strong হোৱাচোন, অকণ exercise কৰা, ঠিক আছে, তুমি অকণ বেছি ফুটিৰে থাকা, এইবোৰ কথা নাভাবিবা, pancreasৰ কথা নাভাবিবা, you will get well on your own. We never deal that way with physical health problems. Mental health takes a backseat in seriousness. There is also the media projection of people with mental illness and treatments. If you go through this, Bollywood or cinema, the way mental health has been projected is horrible and it is horrifying. Karba mental health in the film Khilona, mental health he has gone into shock, he has PTSD. The protagonist has been married off to a prostitute. That is supposed to be a cure. You have mental illness, get married. I know personally a student of mine whose elder brother has been struggling with depression for the last 10 years. And his mother is convinced that he will be treated. As soon as he gets married, he will be fine. Our depression chala jayega. So this is something that, we have to understand. These are not scientific ways of treatment. But yes, from 80s, 70s, 60s till today, I think there has been an effort. There is a change in the graph you can see about our attitudes towards mental health. Now we are trying to create a more positive space for mental health issues and its projection in the media. What are the problems? Helplines. I tried to call, and you can do that too. I tried and tested. 104 is one particular helpline where you can call if you have mental health issues. But then there are problems. Timings are say 9 to 6. So if I'm suicidal at 11 o'clock at night, where do I go? Language or problems are say bahut bar language. There are so many languages. Right? And then there are tribal languages as well. Where will people go if we do not have a wide, diverse, trained professionals able to take these calls in all possible languages? Understaffed, untrained. There are people with just trainings of 2-3 hours, and they have got diplomas, and they're trying to, how do I put it, take care of mental health issues. Understaffed. I did a research with COVID, helplines. Per day, GMC was getting 40,000 calls, and they did not have that kind of manpower. So many helplines are actually understaffed. It's a serious thing to look at. Affordability of mental health wellness. There are many psychiatrists and psychologists who will to promote their own organizations or promote their own business or their own setups and clinics. They will say, come to me for psychological help, for mental health services. But per session, 1,000 rupees, 500 rupees. This is something to think about. So a student who is dependent on parents for pocket money, all right, will find it very difficult. A housewife with no income, a person with very less income will find it very difficult to reach out and take professional help if the affordability, aspect is not focused upon. Next, we have, of course, repercussions. I'm already to discuss the mental health. Those who seek mental health may feel that they will face repercussions at work, family, social circle, etc. They also worry about confidentiality. All right, these are the kind of thoughts that we have. And of course, unscientific, unethical methods of treatment. Treatment thakibo pare professional, scientific, but without my consent. I'm dragged there, I'm put there against my consent, all right, and I'm not told what is going to be happen to me there. So these kind of unethical, unscientific, non-transparent methods of treatment are something to question about. And this brings me to my last point, that is safe spaces. What is safe spaces? Confidentiality that my husband beats me up. My husband can be the DC of Morigao. All right, I'm just saying. Or very important person, maybe judge of high court or something like that. And that's a if this thing is circulated, my husband beats me up, or my wife beats me up, or I have been sexually abused, or I am abusing somebody. It can be anything, right? But I'm worried about confidentiality. I have also said that you can talk to non-professional people as well. It will not only psychologists will help you. Family members are there, friends are there. But the point is, are they safe? Are they a safe space? What is a safe space? Where you can go and talk, and it can be a physically safe space. It has to be emotionally a safe space. That means you don't have the fear after you divulge your details. And if virtually also there must be a safe space. Then why more দৰবৰ বা মোৰ কথা মই হোৱাটছএপত পঠিয়াই দিলো মোৰ ট্ৰেইনাৰক বা মোৰ সাইকোলজিষ্টক তেখেতে স্ক্ৰিনশ্বট মাৰি পঠিয়াই দিলে all right তেখেতে বুলি নহয় think about yourselves are you a safe space because we also may be dealing with people around us who need help and they may think that they may trust us they may look up to us they may need our help they may share with us but আমি কি কৰিলো আমি গৈ পেলাই হেতু বেষ্ট ফ্ৰেণ্ডক কৈ দিলো বয়ফ্ৰেণ্ডক কৈ দিলো ওয়াইফক কৈ দিলো জানা অফিসত এনেকুৱা এনেকুৱা হৈছে হিমু কৈছে নহয় so this way we are not a safe space it is very very important for us to discover safe spaces when we talk about mental health any psychologist any psychiatrist any therapist any friend any person who cannot guarantee you a safe space is not actually the best place to go and talk about mental health. So with this, I finish my presentation. I thank you for your time and attention. And yes, if you have anything to share, for instance, any questions, I would like to take them. Lastly, I'm leaving a slide for you to see. You may take down these numbers, all right, take a screenshot maybe with your mobile or write it down. These are helplines, professional helplines for mental health. I myself personally have tried 104. It is called therapy. It is a government's initiative. It is also available in different parts of India. So if you've got friends and family in other parts of India, they can definitely kind of like reach out and take help of that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, Upasana, ma'am.
Yeah.
There are a few questions in the chat box.
Yeah.
One question, it was being asked, in the starting itself by Malar Das.
Yeah.
What is phantom vibration?
Yeah, phantom vibration is basically phantoms in a আমি সৰুতে phantom comics পঢ়িছিলো if you remember the figure he আছে নাছে আমি নাজানো actually he is supposed to be somebody who doesn't exist হেতু phantom comics হেতু line আছিল ghost who walks ghost is a thing that we imagine doesn't exist for real it's not a physical entity তেনেকুৱা টাইপৰ phantom vibration syndrome হয় basically that মই feel কৰি আছো যে মোৰ phone vibrate কৰিছে notification আহিছে নেকি বুজিছা or maybe call ahise neki but actually aha nai but we are imagining that it's coming I mean imaginary sounds and vibrations feel kori so that is phantom vibration I moi nazano if you experience it but I have experienced it 2-3 times and
Upasana, yeah. Can you explain that in English or Hindi? Actually, the audience is a mixed people.
Yeah, sure. It's basically when you hearing imaginary sights and vibrations of your mobile phone. When I talk about phantom vibration, I'm talking about our phones vibrating, not any other kinds of vibrations. But there is no vibration, there is no notification, but I'm feeling it. All right, it is phantom. It doesn't exist. Imaginary boy. That it's imaginary. It has my phone has not vibrated, no notification, but mere ko sunai de raha. I am able to hear. Then I ask, which has happened to me multiple times. I turn around and I ask my somebody sitting next to me that mera phone baja kya abhi did you hear my phone ring that kind of a thing it has not rung but I will keep hearing it because I'm so addicted to the tone all right of Facebook like of maybe Gmail a mail coming in that kind of a thing.
Okay, ma'am. There is another question from Animesh Nandi. Why do people wish their parents Mother's Day, Father's Day on Facebook and WhatsApp DP rather than just calling them directly other 365 days? They don't even treat them.
Yeah, that is true. And you really have to do you do that? That is very important. Do you wish your father and Mother's Day? I'll tell you something which is very moralistic. Maybe you should be hearing that from a guru or somebody who gives you direction in life kind of a person that I feel every day is Mother's Day. It doesn't take a special day to be kind to those around you. Be kind. That is, I think, this is a little moralistic, moral science type of answer, but I don't think it takes a special day to be kind. And if it is that, I don't think it is true, right? So you can be kind, but yes, we do take out a special day to honor or dedicate all our day's activities to that person. All right, we can do it in a different way because every day we don't wake up and we don't tell our mother directly that I really appreciate what you do. We don't cook breakfast for her, right? We don't, for example, bring her flowers every day. So, just that, today you've taken out time, you've taken leave from work to take your mother to where she wanted to go. It can be Big Bazaar, it can be Balaji Mandir, it can be to a place she wanted to go. Do anything with your mother that day. That is also maybe one way of seeing it. But we must be aware there is a certain controversy theory, you can say, or allegation or accusation, that Father's Day, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day is all, something that card companies wanted to, sell their cards, do business. This is marketization of Mother's Day, basically. We can do that any other day, but I mean, we take out a special day. Sometimes it helps us to align, for example, our activities and focus on one person, but at the same time, let us not be carried away by what the market wants us to do. This is one word I used. I didn't explain, all right, because I didn't have time. I just have 1 hour to talk about it. So marketization is a different paper that we have to, we teach. So that marketization is basically market deciding for you what you should do. So if the market is deciding that you should only wish your mother today or only make breakfast for her today morning, that is something, to think about. Let us not allow the market or allow social media to influence us. But I think through social media, there are many people who have been aware that Mother's Day exists and what are the different ways, we could be sensitive to what kind of effort, our mothers put in our lives, what they do, their values, etc. Sometimes we may not be hearing that, formally through an educational system, formal system. We don't learn that in schools, right? So Hita kind of maybe different ways of seeing it, but yes, every day I think it is good to be kind to parents, especially.
Thank you, ma'am. There is another question from Kiran Sharma.
Yeah.
Is there any process by which we can minimize using social media and not get addicted to mobile phones?
Any way to minimize?
Minimize
Social media.
using social media
Yeah.
not get addicted to mobile phones.
Yeah. Very valid question. Thank you. The difference between there's this question. Social media, kiman kom ke use karo. For people like maybe Mark Zuckerberg, he has to be online. That's his work. But that he's on social media. There are people who are, for instance, involved in social media for their bread and butter. There are, for example, people who handle social media because the work, that is the job profile. You have to be on social media. It matters, I think. The question that you have to ask is yourself is, whenever you are on social media, why are you on social media? First question. Okay? If your work demands you to be on social media, that's another thing. Then, if you are doing it on a personal level, say you're free time, you're not going out for a walk, no cycling, you're not playing with your pets, or excuse me, or you're not doing anything else, you're on social media and you are looking for a piece of information. You need to get a phone number from somebody and you're trying to find them on Google or Facebook, connect with people, etc. Say you are out for a particular motive. If you don't have motive, to me any time pass for yourself, because you're just passing your time on social media and you're scrolling through. You may be looking for information, you may be looking for people, you may have a particular agenda in mind, and otherwise, if you feel you want to share something, if you're just consuming it, it depends upon your need, what you want to know on social media. If you're putting up something, please ask that why you need to post it, all right? The thing is, many of us, we are on social media because out of addiction or out of habit. You need to ask whether you really need to post this picture, all right, or post this particular message. Try to see what kind of objective you're meeting. And even then, if you're not satisfied, that, many people are still thinking, I still need to be on social media. Try to see how much of time you are giving your time to social media, your free and your personal time. Work time, if your job profile demands you to be on social media, we are not judging you, all right? You might need to be there because you're making a living out of it. But at the same time, look at the question that I asked you. Every time the mobile vibrates, do you react to it? All right. Do you get stressed out? Are you monitoring likes? Then you can say that there is an addiction. Now from social media use, you have entered social media misuse, all right? Or social media, from substance use to substance abuse. Are you addicted? Are you dependent? Do you get anxiety, panic attacks? Is your behavior changing whenever we talk about social media? All that is so able was to the If you see the questions, if you remember the question that I asked you, very easy. In one single line, I will tell you the difference between use and misuse. So people who are from Assam, they understand the value of Tamul Pan. We consume it. ठीक है, after meal we give it to guests, we even give it offer it in religious places, in ceremonies. So we do consume tamul pan, ठीक है, and it helps us to digest as well. In Haryana side, North India, they have the hookah. After every how do I put it, meal, they have the hookah to help them to digest. But if you have the hookah in such a way, every 2 hours, every 3 hours, tamul pan every 2 hours, 3 hours, then what will happen? Definitely cancer. So there is a fine line between use and misuse. We have to understand what we are doing. How do we come up from from the point of misuse is deregulating. Then tamul pan we will, or hookah we will bring it down. Okay, you're having little amounts of wine for your health. Okay, fine, but you need wine first thing in the morning. Do you check your phone first thing in the morning and before you go to sleep? If you need to have wine every time you wake up and every time you go to sleep, then yes, you're dependent. Then there is addiction. Then you have to do what? Very simple. Bring down the consumption. There is no other way. Bring down the consumption. There are reports. Go online and check. I didn't have time to give all the links. There are reports which have said you reduce your online social consumption and your wellness is going to come up. Your mental health is going to come up. It's as easy, I think, as that. To regulate your own consumption. Consumption is not the problem. Overuse or abuse is the problem.
Ma'am, Rashmita Mishra has another question. How can we remove social media addiction of teenagers?
Teenagers.
Teenagers.
I get it. Teenagers are, most of them, they are minors, all right. 19 को consider कर भी लेते हैं. So even then we say most of them are minors. And yes, parents are compelled to give mobile phones to the teenagers for many reasons. If we just see the COVID situation, we understand how it works. Today, education is transforming to this kind of online platform. They have to take, how do I put it, they have to put their children, expose their children to this online medium. But the point is, again, coming back, whether it is an adult, whether it is a child, forget teenagers. My own cousin, who's 2 years old, knows how to swipe. Okay? She doesn't know how to talk too well, full sentences, but she knows how to swipe. Instagram, how to play games, how to download games. So, be babies, toddlers, teenagers, or adults, ultimately, it all comes down to the amount of usage that you do. So teenagers can be the same thing, but at the same time, what happens is teenagers, we find we need to do 3 things with them. We need to have a safe space. Teenagers will not walk up to you and talk. Okay? You will say 2, 3. I heard a particular psychologist or also psychiatrist say this particular thing, that if somebody is not behaving properly, talk to me. You must make that person talk to you. All right, but I don't believe that way. You should be able to give time to the person. All right, and if you see a teenager around you who is not, eating, sleeping well, behaving not well is a very vague concept. Teenagers go through a lot of hormonal rushes. They can be very happy and very energetic in the morning, very moody in the evening. All right. So there are different, with the teenager category, we have to consider their hormones are also at play. They're very moody in short periods of time. There are other things that can contribute to behavioral changes, not necessarily social media addiction. But yes, if you see he's spending a lot of time online, he or she has problem with face-to-face communication, sleeping, eating disorders, maximum time online, offline he's not comfortable, offline he doesn't spend time, no exercise, and this thing I see very common. This is an indicator they are not able to talk properly face-to-face. If you take even your teenager, my teenage cousin outside, I will notice first 15 minutes they will sit, they will talk, sata khabo, they chai vai pilia. Immediately after 10 minutes, they will be on the mobile. Are you getting the part? They will not be able to engage in a social setting in a real time. But yes, they will talk with the community. PUBG ka community, 100 people are playing or 200 people are playing online games. Very easily they will talk, chat, etc. Social communication is low. With teenagers, they are very impressionable age, very difficult to separate them from social media, almost impossible. It's like as if cutting off a limb. Haath pair kaat do, much easier, right? People are willing to give up their lives for PUBG. That is the level of addiction. So, but at the same time, regulation is important. With teenagers, it is much easy. The thing is in the hands of the parents. They should be, I think, also take the help of professionals, because parents ke saath, the kind of, how to put it, confidence or rapport building may not be that like that of a professional. So if possible, parents, if they see teenagers are not opening up to them, it is, I think, advisable to take professional help. But regulation is the key. Even with teenagers, the answer is the same. Regulation is the key.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, there is another question from Dr. Naumita Dev that, Shri ma'am, you have put a slide where frequency of happiness was mentioned. So
Yeah.
she just wants you to elaborate that little.
Frequency of happiness. Okay, just 1 second. Let me see. Okay, I understand. Basically, when I was given this topic that I need to talk on social media and mental health, it's many of us we think uh, that mental health is only about negative mental health, negative impact of social media, but that is not true. Social media can also impact us positively or help us, feel happy upon its usage. So, I was trying to talk about how you do feel happy. I'm not, what do you want me to talk about it? Can we be a little specific so that I can save some time? We are happy when, maybe, uh, we keep on using social media. All right, just go to your social media today if you have it, see your DP, and let me increase 10 more likes. Immediately you will feel happy. So वो क्या होता है in a more how do I put it, technical explanation is because our brains are wired in such a way. All right, in very simple language, our brains are made up in such a way that it gets a dopamine hit. What is a dopamine or what is oxytocin? These are like hormones which make you feel happy. Those kind of, there are hormones which make you feel low as well, and then there are hormones which make you feel happy as well. So whenever we go to social media, we see something that we wanted, that maybe more likes, appreciation, or my crush should come and like, all right, or my professor should appreciate my article or what I've written. When we see those kind of things, then we do get happy. If we and that is, the explanation that, hormones are released as soon as we see, we view, our eyes can locate or calculate the number of likes, positive comments, then we get happy. All right, our brain releases hormones. So it's not just, how do I put it, in our minds, or it's not something abstract. It is our real physical biological bodies which are reacting to social media. All right, I don't know if I'm making any sense, or if I've answered your question, but is there anything specific that you want me to like revise or tell you? But we do feel happy. Ye baat to hai. Whenever, that is why they also put some certain things in certain colors. Sale हमेशा red में आता है. Maximum sale का poster red में आएगा to attract our attentions, And whenever we see sales, sale 40% off, ठीक है sir, 70% off. I don't know about you, I get very happy because Myntra is on sale 80% off. I get happy. So in that way, like na sahi, I'm on Myntra. Suppose I'm not on Facebook, I'm on Myntra. I use Jabong, or I use Flipkart, Amazon. वहाँ पे sale मिल गया, but I get happy. So this is how dopamine kind of like reacts. I see a thing that I want, I like it, and my brain releases happy hormones. If you see even the green color button of the person you want to talk, आपका crush हो सकता है, boyfriend हो सकता है, girlfriend हो सकता है, person you want to impress हो सकता है, celebrity का reply आ सकता है on Instagram, you will get happy. These are the ways by which we our body reacts, our mind reacts, a physiological aspect of who we are, it reacts. So that is one thing.
Thank you so much, ma'am. One more question is there in the chat box. Mini Tom, I think so. Hopefully this is the real name. Yeah, she or he have asked actually that due to this COVID-19 situation, most people are forced to be addicted to mobile phones. Students are having online sessions, like class sessions, so they have the access. So what to be done?
Like I said, if your work demands you to be online, yeah, that doesn't mean you're addicted. If I am working on Facebook, in Google, I'll have to be online for 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours. हमारे यहाँ पे legal working hours government में 8 है, कहीं पे तो 10 भी है. But then in some places 10 hours is what you need to be online. That is that demand of your work. ठीक है? So education, once you are online, education system आजकल 6 periods or 8 periods throughout the day requires you to be online for like 4 hours or 6 hours. Okay, that is what your work is asking you to do. But you, after that, free time, personal time, family time, maybe if you're on Instagram, maybe if you're on Zoom, maybe if you're on checking your emails, then that is something to be thought about, that you choose to do online apart from everything else. which was my first or second question in that, PSMU wala slide, that does social media affect everything, every aspect of your life, every decision? I can be, for instance, I could have a family dinner, sitting at the dining table talking with my family, but many people are not able to do that. खाना रूम में लेके आके Netflix देख के ही खाएंगे, ठीक है, या फिर WhatsApp करके ही खाएंगे, या फिर something. All right, so this kind of a thing where you are taking decisions to be online more in your free personal time, in your family time. You're not choosing to do any other activity. Okay? People don't even go to bathrooms without the mobile phone. Aapka sara activity is dependent on social media only. And that is one point I feel that you need to retrospect. So yes, students are online, but once school opens, you may go back. There is also this whole consideration, like in United States, people have decided कि हम बच्चों को homeschooling ही करेंगे. Even after COVID is done with, we have a vaccine, we are not sending back children to school, we will do home tutoring. All right, so it may not, education platforms may change. India, maybe there can be an increase of this kind of education system, the homeschooling karenge, distance schooling karenge. All right, but that is not, that is not, I think, more important. The platform can change, social media will be there, but how much of you use and for what purpose you use, and if it is affecting your productivity, all right, your behavior, your choices, everything that you do, then that is something to think about. Students and parents or tutors must realize that yes, क्या बोलते हैं उस चीज को, the amount of time you spent online is done on what? Are you researching? Are you, for example, reading an article on Google Scholarly, or are you, for example, going through people's WhatsApp stories? All right, but if I am such a person that I'm engaged in an office, I have to maintain the Instagram handle of my office, of my department, जो आजकल job profile हो रही है, then I have to be on Instagram for 8 hours because मेरे को सब कुछ देखना पड़ेगा. What is trending on Instagram? Make a report, submit it, है ना? So I think what depends, students, they may definitely be dependent on right now, but the situation can change. But whether it changes or not changes, what do they do in the free time is very, very important. Isliye, there must be a very good ecosystem around us, where we can engage, where we can go to, we should be creating. That is why my second last slide also said we must be able to create our own safe spaces. हमारे हाथ में भी कुछ है, ठीक है? So if Samsung TV is showing a very bad, objectionable video, ठीक है, मैं टीवी को तो ब्लेम नहीं करूंगी, I will restrict, I will change the channel, ठीक है, I will restrict my use, I will move to another medium or see another thing. Right? So similarly, social media काम आपका जब तक आ रहा है, good thing, we are controlling it, but the moment it controls us, that is very questionable. It is now, I'm not able to go to the bathroom without my mobile, I'm not able to do anything without being on social media. एक खाना नहीं खा सकती without clicking a picture, and I'm getting stressed because I'm called to a party जहाँ पे मुझे पता है my friend is going to click 100 selfies और उसमें से 5 selfies is going to be online, जहाँ पे I may look very bad. So उसको लेके I'm stressed out. All right. So all these things does affect. Social media is affecting our daily lives, our decisions. So what we do is important with social media. Social media रहेगा बहुत दिन तक. It is going to continue for a very long time. How we regulate, it is definitely in our hands. It is not something beyond our control. For people who think it is not something you can do it yourselves, you can always take professional help.
Ma'am, there is another question in the group, in the chat box.
Yeah.
Sarangshu Mukhopadhyay is asking, is it true that spending more time on social media reduces our memorization ability as well as patience?
Yeah, that is not just social media. The coming of cable TV, मैं तो वही बोलूँ, coming of cable TV. There are researchers which have shown it is true, and social media, if you're using on the phone, it is even truer. I will explain to you in short how that works. Cable TV से पहले क्या था हमारा? DD1, DD2, ठीक है? And 7 बजे को news आएगा, 9 o'clock there will be news, 2 o'clock there will be a matinee on Sunday, and we are all prepared. All right. And when it happens, when the particular movie plays at 2 p.m. or 7 o'clock news, all right, what happens is we will all focus on what is going on in the news. We will follow everything that she's saying, that tickers are going, all right. But today, look at the news. After the coming of cable TV, what happens is, I don't want to wait for 7 o'clock to get news. मेरे को अभी चाहिए, 8:15 को मेरे को news चाहिए, or I want at 6 p.m. I want at 2 a.m. in the morning. Then what happens is immediately I will switch to another channel. I'm watching a serial. Serial के बीच में there is an interval, there is a break time. I don't want to watch the breaks, the advertisements. I will switch to another channel. My own best friend watches 8 serials. तो मैंने उसको पूछा, how do you have the time to watch 8 serials? 8 serial, how do you watch? And अलग-अलग channel play, Star Plus, Z, this, that. I asked, and she's an overachiever, all right. She has she's done very well in her studies, very well in her professional life. But so I was thinking, इतना time मिलता कहाँ है? How do you manage 8 serials? Then she said, नहीं, break देता है ना. So immediately I go to another serial, वो देख के वापस मैं आ जाती. So it's very funny, you know, our concentration level in this way, we are practicing some kind of decisions which is not helping us to retain our concentration at one particular thing or even for a very long time. All right. So पुराने जमाने में 3 घंटा मैटिनी होगा, पूरा फैमिली बैठ के देखेगा या मैं अकेले देखूं, मेरे को पता है that this film I have to watch till the end, otherwise I'll never know what it is. News, if I don't be ready at 7 o'clock and pay attention till 7:30, I will miss the news of the day. But today, this is not true. One news is coming up before the anchor has finished speaking. What is the news? Immediately, पीछे से एक और another big breaking news. As if breaking news is not enough. Today we have another thing, another concept, big breaking news. Bigger breaking news. आ रहा है, नीचे से ticker भी जा रहा है. So how will it concentrate on what the news anchor is saying? अगर ticker भी पढ़ना है, साथ में in the corner you will also get a small advertisement का square भी चल रहा है. ठीक है? So our concentration levels have totally been destroyed after the coming of, I think, things like cable TV. We have compromised with, how we could have increased our concentration levels. Plus, if you are not engaged in healthy activities, like maybe engaging in sports, which increases concentration, invest in meditation, then definitely our concentration levels will be affected. Our हाथ में mobile है तो और भी easy, right? I'm waiting for a friend to message to me. I'm waiting. Even now, I think many people who were supposed to be in this meeting, I am sure that आपके पास बगल में मोबाइल है, आप वहां टाइप कर रहे हो कि हे भगवान कितना भक्ति है ये, this speaker doesn't stop only, what is she saying, all कचरा blah blah, बहुत अच्छा speaker है, something you're messaging definitely side by side, girlfriend का message आ गया है ना, big breaking news आ गया, something is going on in your notification box which you are also responding and seeing. So these kind of activities I feel really affects our attention, our concentration. So if I stop and ask even 10 of you, if I take a random test, चलो मैंने क्या कहा था third slide पे, what was my third or fourth point, or positive negative impacts of social media, people will क्या बोलेंगे वो, they will be stuck. So maybe because we have not been concentrating throughout. All right, so that is why I feel that not only social media, even cable TV and all these forms of engagement where we are not trained, or they have given us options to switch easily, all right, from ad to channel or different platforms, are all contributing to a very bad levels of concentration today. इसीलिए बोलते हैं, you should not expose your children to a lot of cartoons or that kind of a thing, or TV time, if you want to preserve the concentration levels of your children.
Hello,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, there is a rule for called IDA. Whenever you have something called attention, interest, and desire and action.
Yeah.
So if the activity what we are doing, even as a faculty, I tell my student also, if my lecture is interesting, you will keep attentive. But the moment you feel that just something where I'm just swaying away from the main point, or the faculty is just doing the time pass, or is not able to keep you attentive. So naturally you're forced to do some other activity. When your lecture is going on, I received a call from my national president. I just blocked him so that I don't wanted to miss this activity. So I'll later on tell you, I just message him, I'm in session, and after session I'll reach to you. So this is what I'm telling you. Your significance of the teacher or trainer is to keep attentive. People engage and attentive. And that is what social media is doing, and they are attentive. They are keeping focus. They are getting all the kind of thing. That's why they are hooked to that.
Yeah, they create content in such a way. Create content in such a way to continue getting the attention of the people. I think that is what you're trying to say, and that is content is very important. So I don't know whether my content was interesting or engaging enough to keep the attention of everybody. But forget my content. I'm thinking forget lectures of teachers. Lectures हमेशा boring. मेरे को तो boring लगता है बहुत सारे lectures. But then what I'm saying is, it sometimes we consciously take up some activities like meditating. We have मोमबत्ती जला दिया. We are concentrating on the flame of the candle. There is nothing interesting in the flame of the candle. कुछ नहीं चल रहा है. कोई नाच गाना नहीं चल रहा है. Nothing interesting is happening, but we are janbujh ke, we are concentrating. News also, 7 o'clock news. I remember my grandmother will force me to sit at 7 o'clock till 7:30. Utal kood kuch nahi, no games. I will have to sit. I'll have to concentrate at the news from 7 o'clock to 7:30. Nothing interesting. But I am in that way choosing to preserve my concentration, increase my concentration levels. But वही बात है, पढ़ने के time, if my Instagram notification is on, every time I'm trying to study, pay attention, just like you did. You switched off, you blocked your social online. This is in a way you auditing social online, social media's percolation or penetration in your lives. You're auditing, you're kind of like blocking, you're regulating how much can social media reach out to me or pull my attention. You're auditing. This is something that we also tell some of the people struggling with social media online addiction, gaming addiction is, how much do we do? Should we delete the app for some time? Take a detox. Very popular practice among many mental health wellness experts. Take a detox, take a break. इसीलिए हम वेकेशन पे भी जाते हैं ना, जैसे फिजिकली चले जाते हैं, लेकिन वहां पे भी if we go and if we open our phones and हमेशा we click pictures, upload भी करते रहे. What vacation?
Upasana ma'am.
Yeah, sure.
Upasana ma'am, I'm interrupting in middle. Actually, it's the time is 11:42. So we will end the session, ma'am, now. If someone is having, please share your phone number so that they can, come in. If they have any doubt, they can come in contact with you. And thank you, ma'am, for such a enthusiastic and, interactive session. Thank you so much, ma'am.
The pleasure has been mine. I just thank the organizers, thanks Sushmita ma'am and Aradhana ma'am, thank you sir, and everybody who has been trying to organize this. And definitely when I saw the brochure, it took a lot of time, lot of effort on your part to arrange it. So that is why I really appreciate your efforts, and I thank from the bottom of my heart all the listeners who were there. And I hope I did not do any permanent damage through this 1 hour. And I hope we'll meet some other time. I'm leaving my contact details here, my phone number and my email address. If you feel you need to reach out to me and talk about the same issue or something else, do feel free. All right. So just give me
Thank
maybe
you so much.
my number here.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And for the participants, the next session will start by within next 2 to 3 minutes. So please be online. Yeah. Thank you.